There are so many games which look absolutely stunning with the detail of graphics and them being as realistic as what they are. But there is a problem. The unstoppable pressure to always have the latest and greatest graphics has put a strain on both game developers and the industry as a whole. In some cases, it has resulted in rushed or incomplete games being released to meet the demand for better graphics, leading to ultimate disappointment and frustration for gamers. Not to mention that some games are reviewed based on their looks and not so much gameplay, story, and overall design. So let's actually make things clear once and for all. Graphics themselves do play an essential part for immersion. They can help create a sense of presence within the game world itself. High quality graphics can make the game's world more believable as it is more realistic, which can help players feel more engaged and invested within that game. By creating an immersive environment, game graphics can transport players to another world, allowing them to forget about their surroundings and become fully absorbed within the game that they're playing. This level of immersion is crucial for creating a memorable gaming experience. Graphics can also be used in a way of level design. Detailed and realistic graphics can help convey important information to the player, such as the state of their character or environment around them. It gives additional information to the sensory system, yet again leading to that better level of immersion, but also a much better understanding of their environment. This links into something called target template, and you do this every single day whether or not you play games or not, and you do it without realizing. A good example is when you've lost your keys. You don't know where they are, but you have a mental representation of what that object looks like. So as you are scanning around the room to know exactly where your keys are, you know exactly to look at those objects and understand that that is either the keys that you're looking for or not, allowing you to quickly assess the area. You're scanning everything nearby in order for you to find the object that best fits that mental representation. How this translates to games is the exact same way. If you are playing an escape room type of game and it tells you to locate the keys, you already have an understanding of what keys look like. And if the graphics are high enough within the game for it to be a one-to-one comparison, you're going to find those a lot quicker because you do have an exact mental representation of what it would potentially look like than if you was playing a 2D side scroller where it would be pixel art. It will still look like a key, but just not have that exact representation of what you're normally used to. It's not until the game itself teaches you that keys look that type of way within that specific game that your target template and mental representation of keys within that game changes, so that next time you know exactly what you're looking for. So graphics do play a part, and this is why that obsession comes in. It is important for designers to easily communicate with the player and for the player to understand what's going on within their environment. But it's still not essential. Game designers follow a MDA framework. This stands for Mechanics, Dynamics, and Aesthetics. This is a conceptual tool used in game development to analyze and understand the different components that make up a video game. The mechanics refer to the rules, actions, and behaviors that govern the game's systems and interactions. Dynamics describe the way in which a game and mechanics interact with each other. And the aesthetics refers to the emotional responses that the game evokes in the player. But by going through this process for game developers, it means that aesthetics is the final step. The importance itself is within the mechanics that are implemented and how players can use them. That is the experience. That is what will make it entertaining and fun for the player. We've all played a game at some point which doesn't have the best graphics. They're not looking for ultra realistic, but it's been a great game to play. This is because even though game designers often follow the MDA framework and A stands for aesthetics, they don't really just look at aesthetics. They're also looking at the emotions. And with the mechanics already in place, it comes down to what the designer wants the player to feel, which will dictate the aesthetics. And in a lot of cases, it doesn't need the ultra realistic. They'll go for a completely different style, which is better used to advertise to their target market audience, whilst also still providing the emotion that they want those players to feel whilst playing the game. It comes down to balancing the art style that you want for the game and also the emotions that you want to elicit. It just so happens for a certain target audience that graphics themselves are a high priority on their list. But despite this being a main reason, it's also not the only reason, because money plays a big factor in this. Stunning graphics is also used within advertising. If you hear about this brand new game which is just being announced and it's got the best graphics ever, chances are you're curious enough to take a look. This normally comes from AAA developers, and you will probably be aware by now that they take advantage of this. Game studios will release reveal trailers. These are usually videos which feature cinematic and gameplay footage that highlight the game's visual style and mechanics. But that's not the reason. The real reason is marketing. Normally at this stage, the game itself is nowhere near completion. Developers will create a vertical slice. A vertical slice is a fully playable portion of a game that shows its intended player experience, but it is not complete. The vertical slice will not be optimized. It will be there to show everything that they hope to achieve, but not necessarily something that will be there within the future. It's normally played on some of the highest spec platforms, and it's showed within such a controlled environment where anything that does go wrong is normally cut out within the edit, so you never get to see it. A great example of this is Cyberpunk 2077. They released a demo gameplay trailer that showed impressive graphics and gameplay features such as the destructible environment and realistic visual effects using ray tracing technology. However, and I'm sure you're all aware, when the game was released, it was full of game-breaking bugs and unplayable performance. Even high-end PCs had trouble running it, and it wouldn't even load properly on older consoles. More recently, we've seen this with the game known as The Day Before. The Day Before was announced on the 29th of January 2021. And when it was revealed, there were so many people that were looking for an exact type of game like this. The Last of Us meets The Division, that's what was advertised. And graphically, it looked great, but some longtime gamers were skeptical. Since then, whenever there has been any more trailers, reveals, gameplay, there has been a noticeable downgrade. And this has been one of the biggest complaints. The graphics that were there initially were so high and so visually appealing to its target market audience that it became a marketing strategy for the game company Fantastic. This has got easier and easier, not just for AAA game studios, but also indie developers with the advanced technology that Unreal Engine as well as other game engines are now incorporating. And because in recent years, we've seen how easy it is to create these visually stunning environments. And there's been so many bad actors within the gaming industry, whether that be under crypto, AAA, or indie, that have tried to push games that look great, but ultimately just cannot deliver on what was initially promised, that now graphics, good looking, realistic graphics, are also questioned. But despite all of this, there is one thing that matters. This is the gameplay experience itself. Regardless of whether or not you are trying to achieve the most realistic graphics today, or if you're trying to do something more simple with 2D pixel art. No matter what side of the spectrum you are on, it's the gameplay experience that really dictates everything. Because no matter how visually stunning your game is, if it does not play well, people will leave. But on the other hand, even if you're creating something which doesn't look amazing, as long as it does resonate with your target audience and they can have a great time playing through your game, you're going to be in a much better position. For those of you which are consumers as you want to play games, Our recommendation is to always judge a game based on its gameplay and not its cinematic trailer. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn a bit more about game development, then I highly recommend clicking the next video on screen. That video has been specifically selected just for you. I hope you enjoy.